and so forth. Let me introduce myself. My name is Jefferson Davis. This is my lovely wife, Varina, that also will be talking. But had a part of my life where we weren't together. So I'm going to go to a certain point when I meet her, and then she's going to take over talking about a few things, and then I'll interject, she'll interject, and you know how it is with the relationship, that people see things differently. She wasn't around when I was born June 3rd of 1808, and I was the 10th child of my mother, Jane Cook Davis, when she was about 49 when she had me. Yes, that's true. By the time I was 2, we moved to Mississippi, where I spent several months, several years, and then all of a sudden my father said, I want you educated. So he sent me up to St. Thomas Aquinas, a Catholic school in Springfield, Kentucky. Now we were Protestant. In fact, we were about as Protestant as you can get because we were Baptist. But I spent 2 years there, and when I returned, I didn't think my mother would recognize me because now I'm 10 years old, and she ran down those 10 steps and grabbed me and hugged me, and I thought I was going to stop breathing there for a few minutes. Then 3 years, I was at Transylvania University, again in Kentucky. You know, I like the speaking part. Some people are excellent writers. Some people are better speakers. I'm not a bad writer, but I'd rather speak and talk to people. And it wasn't always that way. In fact, you can thank this young lady here for helping me become a better speaker. Well, I was only there 3 years at Transylvania University, and my father, who died July 4th of 1824, my brother Joseph, who was 24 years older than I was more of a father to me than my own, because when your father's 52 when you're born and he's 62 when you're dead, anybody over 30 is old. Isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, to get into West Point, you have to pass an exam, which I did, and there's 4 areas at West Point you need to learn as an Army, in the Army. Engineers, they build bridges, build forts. Artillery, fire artillery. Then the next 2 are kind of almost even. Cavalry. How many's ever heard of cavalry? Cavalry. I did not say Calvary, where Jesus was crucified. Whenever I hear anybody of military or non-military say that, I want to stand up and shake them. Why are you laughing?
Because I know the difference.
I bet you do. Well, I almost got kicked out of the Point because we had an eggnog situation, whereas that drink, some officers come in and they said, you, report to the commandant's office. I was accused of drinking. And I said to the officer when I defended myself, did you ever actually see me pick that drink up that was in front of me and drink it? You know what he said? No. So I was off of that. Now when I graduated, I was placed in infantry because the people of the top grade without demerits, you got demerit, young lady, you're not paying attention to me, you got demerit for smiling too much, you got demerit for asking a question, didn't know the answer. And then according to your grades. I was placed in the infantry because I said engineers, artillery, cavalry, infantry. According to my grades and demerits, I was placed in the infantry. I served 7 years in the infantry out west, learning to work with the Indians. I say that term Indian not very lightly because when Columbus came over here, he thought he landed in India. But he sailed west when everybody else says sail east and go around Africa. He thought he was India, so what do you call those people? Indians. It stuck. In fact, some soldiers even use the term engine. I think of an engine that pulls a train, that's what I think. But anyway, that doesn't matter. Well, my 7th year being in the military, even before that, I met a young lady named Sarah, Knox Taylor. Her father was Zachary Taylor. She got the nickname Knox from Henry Knox, Washington's first Secretary of War, and his chief artillerist during the American Revolution. In fact, I call her Knoxie. Well, I resigned from the Army, got married in Louisville, Kentucky, and I moved to Briarfield, starting on my plantation, and I wanted to go to Louisiana, take her and my sister. Lucinda said, please don't come here, there's a lot of malaria. Since when do you ever listen when you're young? Guess what? We went there, both of us caught malaria. Guess which one do you think survived? Me. She will die. Then I started the plantation system, learning how to run a plantation. My brother said 8 years is long enough. Now, he didn't tell me that. I figured that out. 8 years is long enough. My brother needs to be married. Now, he was friends with William and Margaret Howe. In fact, they came to see me at West Point. Their first son was named Joseph, after Joseph, my brother. The second child was named Varina, after, I don't know who Varina was named after. But anyway, she was there at my sister's place. Not my sister's place, but my niece's place. And I'm going to let Varina take off from here and share a little bit about our life together. And Varina, be my guest. All I'll say is I pulled up, or I mean, didn't pull up, but I rode up on my horse and saw the back of her head and kind of got a smile. I said, I will be picking you up tomorrow to take you to Hurricane. Go ahead, Varina.
Now, this was one of the first times that I've been away from my parents, and this was going to be an extended trip for me. Now, it was not customary for a young lady to travel by herself. I had an escort with me. His name was Judge George Winchester. Now, I was a very educated woman, which was perhaps not the most common thing of the day, but my grandfather, he was governor of New Jersey, and I was educated in Philadelphia, so I have a lot of ties to the north. Well, anyhow, Judge Winchester, he did escort me as far as Diamond Place. And I had a relaxing evening there, and I do remember that day when my future husband rode up. I was reading, as I always did, and I heard the sound of fast hoofbeats approaching, and I looked up and I saw this gorgeous horse and this tall figure of a man upon this horse, and I thought, oh, what's he doing? Oh, he must be coming to see me. And I'm like, oh. And he approaches and dismounts, and he says, you must be Miss Howell. And I said, yes, my name is Varina. And he said, well, I'm here to escort you to the Hurricane Plantation tomorrow. And we had some exchange of conversation. But as we spoke, I noticed his eyes kept diverting to my neckline. Now, I was wearing a particular brooch, and it was a political brooch with the symbol of the Whig Party upon it. And by his glances, I could tell that he was none too pleased by that symbol. And I soon found out that he indeed was a Democrat, which I'm not so sure how I felt about that either. But we did have a continuation of our conversation, and I learned pretty quickly he seemed to have his opinions on things, and I'm not so sure that he agreed with everything I said, but he was the type that I thought that he thought that everything should agree with him in his way. But he soon found out I'm a woman that speaks my mind, and I don't necessarily always agree with him. But as he left, I kept thinking and thinking about this handsome man. He was very striking. I did not know how old he was, and it bothered me so that I felt compelled to pen a letter to my mother that night. I said, Mother, I don't know if this Jefferson Davis, is he an old man or is he a young man? But I think I decided that he is an old man, for what I hear is only 2 years younger than himself. So the next day came, and my handsome future husband, he came to escort me, and we had some exchange of conversation in the carriage. And once we got to the Hurricane, I was just amazed by the opulence of this. Now, came from a nice place myself, but far surpassed the opulence of my own home. It was a very busy, bustling place. You had hot water running from the upstairs inside, and to me, this was very special. After a bit of repose, we all met for supper, and as they knew that I loved to read and speak and even play the piano, they had me say, Varina, would you please read for us tonight? And I did. And everybody sang when I played. And night after night this would go on, but I think they sensed there was a spark between the two of us, because it wasn't long before those family gatherings dwindled down to just Jefferson and I. Now another thing we like to entertain ourselves with, I don't think he knew at first I was a horsewoman, and we did like to take our rides. We also like to race. But Mr. Opinionated doesn't like to get beaten by anything, and he soon found himself in the dust a few times.
I'd like that.
So he started taking the horses for me. But I think we kind of pushed you to ride a little bit better, didn't we?
Yes. Yes, you did, Varina.
But our days at the Hurricane, I did not know how long I was permitted to stay, but I knew the day would come when my family would be calling for me to come home. And by this time, we knew we were in love, and we talked about getting married. And then the thing that I dreaded most, that call from my parents, telegram came and summoned me home. I was just heart sick. He was too. We did not want to be separated. We were spending all this time together. And I became very ill. I was heart sick. I got sick on the way home, physical illness, and I could not even pen a letter to him telling him of my condition, let alone that I still loved him. And I knew he would probably be worried, thinking what had happened to my communication. Is that what you thought, Jefferson?
Yeah, you want me to talk a little bit, or you keep
Sure,
going?
what's your side?
Well, my side is that when she left, I'd wait. I'd go down to Davis Bend, where the river boats come in with the mail, and I'd check every day, see if there's a letter. And the letters start pretty being, maybe 2 or 3 a week, and then all of a sudden it starts to dwindle, 2 or 3 a month, and then for a while it stopped. And let me tell you something. What goes through a man's head is she don't want to be with me anymore. She's quietly saying, it's over. So I thought to myself, I met her in December of 43. So by early 45, I thought, I'm just going to go see what's going on. So I took the rubber boat up the Natchez where she lived, and I stopped, and when she saw me, Varina, take over. Tell me what you saw, or what I saw.
Well, he saw that I had lost so much weight and was in a weakened condition, but that just his presence alone being there did all of a sudden make me start to feel better. I did regain my physical strength. He knew I still loved him with all my heart, and I was just pining away for him. And another thing that was a great distress upon both of our hearts is our mother. She did not think this was perhaps quite a suitable marriage at that time. But once Mother saw how happy I was to see him and how I was improving in my health, she and Father did consent to our union, and we were married at my sister's house in her very parlor. Now, it did not upset me too much that his family was not present. His brother Joseph and I, we did not always see eye to eye. Remember I told you I was an educated woman. Now, Joseph was of the mindset that a woman should be seen and not heard, and I'm certainly not one to sit back and not speak up. So Brother Joseph took offense to me on great many occasions. Jefferson had to intervene on more than one occasion to smooth things over between the two of us.
Well, we left Natchez and we went to Louisiana. We went back to St. Francisville, where my sister lived and where Sarah Knox Taylor was buried. And we went to the grave. And then we went to New Orleans for our honeymoon and spent some good time down there and got to know each other. And before you know it, that fall, I'm running for the House of Representatives from Mississippi. And I said to Varina, I said, you know, John C. Calhoun's coming for this situation in Vicksburg, and I'm supposed to have this speech that I deliver. Please do not look at me. You go sit over there, Varina, right there beside her. I said, please do not look at me, because it might make me nervous. Well, you know, yep, there it is. There's that smile. She looked at me, and you know, the thing of it is, I was real stiff when I was reading this speech that she helped me write. I literally took those on the podium, put them down, and spoke from my heart, and the campaign was on. Now, the sad thing about the campaign that fall was my mother will die in October of 1845. And that was very sad, and I'm elected, and we go up to the Washington City, which I believe was paved in, I think Varina thought the streets were going to be paved in gold. She found out they're mainly paved in manure and so forth. And for a first year House member, you're not supposed to speak. You're supposed to only do it your second year. But you know what? I'm Jefferson Davis, and guess what I did? I spoke, because Texas was annexed. And our president, James Knox Polk, believed in manifest what?
Destiny.
Manifest destiny. And the thing of it is, he tried to buy parts of Mexico, and Santa Anna said no. Now the argument, you might hear this from Lincoln, you might hear, well, don't hear it from Lincoln, because Lincoln don't want to talk about having the spot resolutions. He wanted to know the exact spot where the war began. It's an argument over the border. Here's the Nueces River, here's the Rio Grande. You put soldiers in the middle because that was protecting our border. To the Mexicans, we were past their border, and a skirmish starts, and before you know it, you have a war. And of course, I told Varina I would not volunteer to go back in the military. Guess what I did? I went in the military, got wounded in the right foot. That's why you see me limping at times. And I came home for a while, and there's several times I had to come home because I was injured, and then I went back. But there's another reason I had to settle an argument between her and Joseph. But the war was over, and guess what the state of Mississippi did when there was an opening? The governor appointed me senator from Mississippi in 1847, and I was there from 1847 to 51 until I resigned to run for governor. Did I win? No, I did not. And Varina thought, well, you know what? We're building a new house, a new Briarfield. She might want to talk about the other house for a few minutes.
That first house, you can tell a bachelor built it. When I walked in that house, the windows were so high. I mean, he's a tall man, so understandably why he probably wouldn't have even given us five.
Well, the sills were like here.
Without a woman around, but I could not even see outside the windows of this house, and I could not wait to get a new one. So finally we did get the go-ahead, and we built a new Briarfield, and it had such a wonderful design, and we just felt like this home was finally a place where we could settle down and make it our own. But as the years went on, we found that in reality, the time that we spent in this home that we love so much, it was very little over the years. Even in our old age, that's not where we ended up.
Well, I became friends with a man named Franklin Pierce, became the 14th president as a Democrat. He won the election of 52. He telegrammed me and said, I'd like you to be my Secretary of War. Wrote him back and said, Varina, did I become Secretary of War?
I adamantly told him, no, Jefferson, I do not want us to go back there.
He wrote me again. I said, no. Then he said, will you please come to my inauguration on March 4th in Washington City? I did. He asked me again. And I said, yes. So back to Washington City we went. And if you really think about it, we were in Washington from 1846 on and off up through 1861. Now, Secretary of War, you ever heard of the Camel Corps? I improved the curriculum at West Point Military Academy. There's a lot of things that I accomplished. Well, when I got done being Secretary of War, the next day there was a Dred Scott decision. How many's ever heard of the Dred Scott decision? How many have not? Well, Dred sued for his freedom. He was from St. Louis, a slave state, and the Chief Justice Taney, because he was in the courts about 14 years, said, Dred, you can't sue. You're not even a citizen of the United States. That's going to change with the 14th Amendment, young man. You hear what I just said? Citizenship. Citizenship. You know what that is? Okay. So the North kept doing this, and the thing with it is, I hate democracies. Because we're not one, are we? No, we're not. We're a constitutional republic. They asked Ben Franklin at the Constitutional Convention, what kind of government do we have? He said, a republic, if we can keep it. And you know what? I was very sad as South Carolina seceded from the Union, followed by my home state of Mississippi. A representative represents his people. And if the people choose to leave, there's only one senator that will remain when his state secedes. You know who that was? One of my arch enemies. I'll give you a hint.
Andrew Johnson.
For AJ, young lady, you knew who it was? He's the 17th president. Andrew Johnson, the one that I had an argument with back in 1845. He becomes president when Lincoln's assassinated. You know, I thought we were going to be victorious during the war. We were not. And Varina did have some receptions, and she could probably talk about maybe the children a little bit. What time is it?
We've got about a little less than 10 minutes.
We got a little less than 10 minutes. Take it away.
So yes, I became quite adept at holding these social parties in Washington. I was very respected, especially during the times when President Pierce was there, for his wife had taken ill. So even at that time, I stepped in the role of First Lady for him to host many social parties. So I knew a lot of people in Washington City. Now, so when we went back there too, of course we fit right in. In wartime though, of course we're now down in Montgomery, Alabama. So we continue that role down there. And of course it's a hustle and bustle of people in and out all day long. But the children were such a highlight of our life. That's one thing that did take our mind off the wartime. Our first little boy, Samuel, had died in an early age when he was not even 2 years old. He succumbed, and it was just a hard blow to us because we wanted that little boy so bad. And we had little Margaret, and my goodness, was she a precocious little child. Could not keep up with that little girl. Now, of our 6 children, she is the only child that survived me. And of course, my husband, he's 18 years older than myself. And to have only one child survive us, it was just quite tragic. Perhaps the most unexpected and the worst is when we were at the customs house and we received an urgent call. We were only a block away from our own home. Please come back, come back. And they were just frantic. Little Joseph's been badly hurt, and here he had fallen off the 2nd story balcony. Our home set high up on a hill. The children, that they would play all down this hill day in and day out, but he was told, I don't know how many times, do not go up on that balcony, but he fell, and by the time we were at his side, he was taking his last breath. Both his legs were broken, and that poor little skull was just cracked open. And I don't know if we ever completely recovered from that. That was the child most like my dear husband. But we did also have Jefferson Jr. He was probably the laziest of our children. Mother hates to say that, but to be honest, he did have not a real industrious child.
You need to take after the Davises.
Then I had our dear little William. He was a sweetheart of a boy. And then our last child was named Varina, after myself, of course. And skipping ahead now to when Jefferson was captured, he also mentioned President Johnson. Wow, kind of tied that all in. I petitioned over and over to get my husband out of prison. I would write letters to Andrew Johnson, please, can you do this? Can you help my husband? Each letter went unanswered, so I made the trip to see him numerous times. Finally, he received me.